forth on the home front with news of the Warriors, who will play host Cameroon in the opening match of CHAN 2020 finals after they were drawn in Group A, which also features Burkina Faso and Mali. Zimbabwe, who are returning to the competition after missing the previous edition in 2018, were picked from the hat first at last night's draw conducted by Cameroon legends Salomon Olembe and Stephen Tato at the Palais Polyvalent des Sports de Yaoundé Hotel in the Cameroonian capital, Yaoundé. And of course, just to repeat that draw for you, Zimbabwe will be in Group A. Alongside the host Cameroon, we'll also have Mali as well as Burkina Faso. So we'll be playing one nation from Central Africa, Alois, and of course two nations from West Africa. And it's not the easiest group that Zimbabwe could have drawn, but this is CHAN. So sometimes it's important not to confuse the full national sides with the sides that participate in CHAN.
Exactly. It's actually very, very pertinent not to conclude that. But I think what you need to look at is the club sides participation in the CAF Champions League, in the CAF Cup. You know, the strength of those clubs. Usually those clubs have got the bulk of their players playing for the national team. So you need to look at those clubs that are participating. Look at Cameroon. Which clubs are participating in Cameroon in the CAF competitions? How much are they progressing in the CAF competition? That's when you can.
So it will be a plus for us that Cameroonian club football, to be honest, has not been on a high in recent years. None of their teams have been playing well. Same applies, Barry, if you take a look at Malian clubs as well as Burkinabe clubs as well. They haven't exactly covered themselves in glory. In fact, you take a look at the fortunes of FC Platinum, they're probably comparable to any of the clubs that are featuring in CAF competitions from those two nations.
They certainly are, and we'll draw a lot of inspiration and courage from that. I think all we have to do is get over the hurdle of thinking that this is Cameroon, this is Burkina Faso, this is Mali. We just need to look at the opponent as they stand. I suppose the only difficult game will probably be the first game against Cameroon.
The opening match.
The opening match, there hasn't been much national team football on the continent generally and in Cameroon specifically. So consequently, you're likely to get a full stadium. And that is one hurdle that we'll have to surpass. If we get past that, the crowd, the atmosphere in that stadium, we should be able to be competitive at the very least.
We want to hear from you on this show. We like to keep it interactive. You can have your say, your way on our WhatsApp platform, 0731 168 045. That number again, 0731 168 045. You can also follow and interact with us on Twitter at ZiFM Sport. Now, pause. Barry talked about the difficulty of playing the hosts in the opening match. That is, of course, Cameroon at what is likely to be a packed stadium. It's important that Zimbabwe doesn't lose that match, isn't it, Pause? You've got to get something out of that match. Otherwise, the second match then means it's a do or die situation in the second match if you've dropped all points in the first.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you're playing the opening game of any tournament, and more importantly when you're playing against the host nation. So it's going to be important for Zimbabwe to come out all guns blazing, as it were, and try and get something out of the game. Obviously, a win will be fantastic, but even if they can walk away from that game with a draw, I think they can take that as a win.
I take that as a win. Alois, this tournament here, it will be the first, one of the first assignments. It's not the first game that Logarisic is going to be involved in, but it's an early assignment for him, and it's a perfect opportunity for him to run his eye over the best talent that the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League has got to offer and see which players can take part in the bigger campaigns as far as AFCON and World Cup qualification are concerned.
Yeah, you're very right, Mike. He is going to start with the World Cup qualifiers, of course, against Algeria, but the AFCON
qualifiers.
The AFCON qualifiers.
Yeah.
But the CHAN, when it came at the right time for him to actually assess, like you're saying, these boys. And we might look at the group and believe that it's actually a difficult group. I think it's actually a blessing in disguise. We should actually be using this as a developmental tournament where we want to gauge the pedigree of our local players, how they cope at international level.
Your Prince Dubes, your Ian Nekatis.
Yes,
this is an opportunity for them. Your Ralph Kawanderas.
Yes, we want to see how they cope against Cameroon. It wouldn't make much sense playing against, say, like Namibia, Lesotho, those smaller nations. We are playing against Cameroon. Now this is a chance for us to actually see how they can cope, so that when they get incorporated into the full senior national team, we actually know exactly that they've got the strength, they've got the stamina, they've got the ability to actually come in and do a job for us. So for me, it's a blessing in disguise that we're in a tough group, so that the tougher it gets, the tougher our players also get, because they are fighting against a tough competition.
Tough is a word that's been repeated by all three of you this evening, Barry. And of course, one of the things that Zdravko Logarisic will be able to gauge is the mental toughness of the locally based players, because this tournament is going to be in a foreign land. This tournament is going to be against nations with perhaps a richer pedigree as far as African football is concerned at the national team level. So it's a perfect opportunity for him to gauge the mental toughness of these players, to see if they will stand the rigors of the tougher battles in the more important qualification battles.
It certainly is a good opportunity, and I'm struggling a little bit here in terms of, especially with that mental toughness that's going to be required on scheduling, because if we look at it, he's playing Algeria back to back, March 23rd, I think it is, round about those dates, and then back to back a couple of days later he plays Algeria. Chan starts about a week after that. So in terms of camping, he's obviously got to now start picking his squad and get maybe 10 days with him before he even gets the full international Warriors into camp, so that he can run the eye over them. So scheduling is a bit of a problem, especially if you say they're going to have to be toughened mentally.
Okay, we'll get to hear, of course, on this very station, ZiFM Stereo, from the head coach of the Warriors, Zdravko Logarisic. He's going to be speaking to Larry Quirirai on the platform later this evening at 7:30, so stay tuned to ZiFM Stereo and you get to hear the lowdown from the new Warriors coach, Zdravko Logarisic, the man that is affectionately known as Loga. This is ZiFM Sport on a Tuesday, nothing but the top stories. And of course, just to run through the full draw: Group A, Cameroon, Burkina Faso, Mali, Zimbabwe. Group B, Niger, Congo, DR Congo and Libya. So there is a Congo derby. Group C, Morocco, Uganda, Togo, Rwanda. And Group D will see Tanzania, Namibia, Guinea, as well as Zambia in action.